and welcome to the Esports Meta, your weekly competitive esports news show. Here to bring you all the hottest topics in this week of esports. I'm Billy Sims, and today's topic, we're talking about a lot of things. We're doing some score recaps, LCS Overwatch Championship Series. We've got some news about the Apex delay of their hack, and we've got some big LCS restructuring in the works, it seems. But before we get into all the subject matters of the topic, let me introduce my co-host here, Nicholas Layton, joining me as always. Nick, how you feeling today? How are you looking forward to these topics?
Some of them. This is the first time that I'm really hearing about the this hack. I didn't want to look into it specifically, so let's. I'm interested in that one very much. So, let's see how
it was very recent, very big news this weekend. It came on suddenly. We had to change our itinerary here, but we're going to get into that pretty quickly. Were you watching any of the LCS or Apex this weekend?
No Apex. I watched I watched some Overwatch, all of League's matches, and I did some other here and there esport things. I'm watching a lot of Smite over the weekend for some reason.
Well, I was going to say Smite's also impacted by this Apex situation. I'll go into that a little bit later. More little juicy bits to tease people along here. But yeah, I was watching some NBA 2K this weekend. They had a 3v3 showdown. I was checking that out, see what that's about. Watching some Overwatch, did some Apex, and caught the inklings of these hackers. But let's jump into it. Let's stop dilly-dallying. Let's go right into it. We're going to start with scores. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick. And we're going to start with Overwatch Championship Series because it's the most boring news. It wasn't boring. It was a lot of fun. The meta has changed. It has shifted, but it is the most tame out of the things we've seen. So let's warm up a little bit with the situation here. The group stages are over. We have our finalists, our top 8. We also have seen our bottom 8 get knocked out, officially eliminated. And that would be the teams Timeless, Obsidian, Dreamland, Beluga, Platoon, Naa, and I Win. These aren't really surprises, but they did put up a pretty decent and good fight. It's a kind of an interesting situation because you're coming out of the Overwatch League dissolving last year, and all these players who were in the league for however many years, they're kind of coalescing and coming together and making almost super teams here in the Overwatch Championship Series. And it's been a blessing to watch, but it's almost a little bit of a curse because they go up against these other teams, and even a team like M80, which imploded 40 minutes before the deadline for roster submissions they're still coming out of this group stage relatively unscathed, 2-1 and a +5 map differential. So they're not really surprised. It's kind of a curse for these other 8 teams not quite making it, but them's the bricks. And we'll see it during the next tournament. Best of luck. You've got some points. Let's see if you can get some more. From here, really what matters is the next part is that we're going to be moving into the tournament aspect of it. This is the tournament to decide who goes to DreamHack in Austin. So we have our top 8 teams, and here are our NA situation. I'm sorry, EMAA, not NA. And then where's our NA? I'm not sure if they announced the NA's bracket. There we go. I'm all mixed up. This is all EMEA stuff.
There you go.
Here we go. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
We have not really surprised. Toronto Defiant and Timeless is another one to look out for. They've had pretty explosive play with their DPS lineup. Luminosity, kind of interesting going against Shikigami. Shikigami's been pretty underrated and pretty dark horse. But I think the big matchup is going to be Students of the Game versus M80. This is going to be a close one, seeing who kind of makes it out. But really, it seems like most people are favoring M80. Nick,
Luminosity was the Luminosity recently got into college level esports, right?
Luminosity was just paired up with Maryville Collegiate.
That's
And
what it was. Maryville Collegiate. Yeah.
yeah, this is a team that's being led by Dante. I believe he's tanking, and he's bringing relatively unknowns with him. I don't know if they're from contenders or just like on the collegiate scene, but yeah, it's been cool to see how he's bringing the whole organization or the collegiate scene there kind of on his shoulders. Not necessarily in play wise, but like just bringing his experience and bringing his reputation and just connections to like make things happen, which is cool.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, if they do really well, they could like other teams could branch out into more collegiate sports and partnering with other schools. Who knows?
Right. And like I know LCS just had Team Liquid Honda have that partnership. So money coming into esports like this, and when it's not the Saudi money, there's still questions around it. There's still interesting situations, but this is where we can see a bit more competitive. I do think if we were to talk specifics, having a better prize pool for these teams to like make it worthwhile to compete, to play, to sponsor, etc.
I mean, that's like the roughest part about the tournaments, right? Is getting like a huge prize pool when people like it's not just all about the money, but like how are you gonna have a profession where they're only making like $5,000 for like one tournament, right? And they're spending a lot of time practicing and doing their teamwork and everything like that. And so.
For the longest time, that's been that stereotype. It's almost like a musician. You sleep on couches to make it kind of thing. And that seems to be really the case with the competitive gamer. Even from up and coming, I remember us going to Halo 2 tournaments or Smash Melee stuff. And like, you'd be crashing at friends' houses, or just kind of all cramming into one car to drive 300 miles kind of situation. But
for the glory.
For the glory.
So like over the weekend, the few matches that I did watch I did notice that like there was a lot less Tracer that I noticed over the weekend. And it could have just been like my experience of the few games that I did end up watching, but it seemed like a lot more Reaper was like joining the fray over the weekend, which was pretty fun to see just in general.
That's a great observation because it's also a great transition. I can switch into talking about the meta changes. In this week of tournament, we saw a lot of Mauga play, who's a bombastic tank, very high damage tank buster tank, but he's got a large hitbox and he takes a lot of damage. He recently got a little bit of a buff change, and people are still out on if it's a good or bad for the character's actual design and balance, but it seems to be a bit overpowered because a lot of these teams competing thought it was the way to go. Definitely sees it as the meta choice. So you have this big tank buster guy. Rather than going Tracer, you go Reaper to A, blow them up, or B, prevent them from running you over. So if they come into your face, he's got those shotguns to knock you back down. And that was kind of cool to see that week-to-week change at this level. I'll be interested in seeing how it continues to go, especially as more weeks come. And we're not expecting another patch notes for Overwatch for another couple weeks until season 10, competitive, I believe.
With Mauga being chosen, it was definitely some interesting ways that the game so normally, like as a person who's only played the smallest amount of Overwatch to actually be any sort of knowledgeable about the game, right? It seems like he doesn't get punished like Reinhardt does for just charging in. Like Reinhardt ends up just being like slow or swinging his hammer when he like runs back, and Mauga just seems to like charge in and just do whatever the hell he wants, and that's from like an outside perspective. Again, like I'm not a high level player or anything, but like outside perspective compared to like Reinhardt charges in and he misses, let's say, right? Or he gets a kill and that's awesome. He charged. He's still turning around, jumping and kind of moving super slow, or he's jumping and swinging his stupid hammer, right? And Mauga just seems like he goes in, he turns gold. He literally goes Super Saiyan in front of everybody and he's charging up. He's sitting there in the front of everybody charging up.
Pause. RIP.
Yeah, exactly, right? RIP to my man. But like literally, like it looks like everybody's just watching him scream because he charged in, and no, like it just takes forever to like kill him. That's what it seems like. And like these were.
That's a little bit of the change. That's a little bit of the change at work here because Malga is a character. I always like to call him Wrecking Ball plus Reinhardt. He charges in, but he's kind of chaos. He moves back and forth. He kind of does it quickly, but he's the biggest target hitbox in the entire game. So especially at high elos, you're going to have people targeting him because he blows up. The buff in the patch notes gave him his shout where he goes Super Saiyan. He just it gave him instant health. So that allowed him to operate in a little bit more survivability mode, a little bit more.
By how much did his effective health increase?
Well,
like he's a tank.
Yeah,
so 100. Like it increases defense. You what? Are you like no, dude?
It gave him 100 HP. And the biggest, scariest thing really is his sustainability. He's high damage. In a 10-minute game, regularly people are putting out 14 to 17K damage. Just so that's a lot of pressure. And mostly, though, it's on enemy tanks because the spread of it's so hard to hit the tinier models. So you're just going to be focusing the hitbox and the crits on the enemy tanks mostly. And that's why a lot of people say the Malga meta is a little bit boring, but it's effective. I like the little bit of nuance, the counterplay in that stuff, but it really is a team reliant sort of thing. And that's why you see like the Reaper choices, the Kiriko choices, and yeah, Reinhardt, all he can do is put up his rectangle and then he backs out or he just swings his hammer. So he's really an either or. Malga needs to be aggressive to be defensive, if that makes sense.
So get rid of Reinhardt's charge. Like it doesn't make any sense anymore. One of them needs to not charge. Like make his charge better. It doesn't really make any sense that you can be like you both have like a similar thing, but then like one is just severely punished and it's not strong enough. Like his charge is like awesome if you get a person who's squishy, right? Yeah. But like saying that it like play wise, that's just stupid. It's not always going to be on a squishy. It's not always going to be on like a very tanky boy. So it probably
most high level Reinhardt play doesn't charge. You're using it to bait if that. So it's very vulnerable because you're stuck in that animation. You don't have any damage reduction while you charge. Malga has damage reduction while he charges by like a lot. So yeah, it is something to close the gap. It is something to get from place to place. And the best Reinhardts, like the LH Cloudies in Europe, they've really struggled. They've had a little bit of reprieve with the actual armor right now, but you're right. The charge move is a little bit undertuned, a little bit power creeped by the Malga charge for sure.
Easy fix. Half the distance of his charge, make it so he charges with his shield out, and that's it. Make it so his shield is out while he charges, and then it's literally a usable move for the shield tank. Like instead of just being stupid, but anyway, outside play.
That might be an interesting segment. That might be an interesting segment where we redesign characters to help out their weak spots or get them back into rotation.
Yeah, I call him Thor at the gym, so let's do it.
Let's do it. But this Malga meta is here to stay for now. It's pretty exciting. It's also pretty boring, depending on who you ask. I know I like it. I know I'll be watching, and I'm really excited to see what Toronto Defiant does with it, because we do see a couple outliers pulling Orisu's and Zarya's, thinking that's going to be the it character to counter him. But so far, nothing's really happened that way. But I'll be watching this weekend, see how the bracket goes. Hopefully you guys will join me, and let's move on to our next topic. There was more esports, of course, this past week and weekend. There was the kickoff of Major 1 LCS tournament, where we saw some interesting stuff happen. I'm going to jump right into this as far as the standings go, Nick. But if you want to run us through the regular season standings and like recap a little bit what we were talking about last week?
So like last week, like the top 4 teams were like really the teams to like watch for the most part, right? Like our top 4 teams of FlyQuest, 100 Thieves, Cloud9, Team Liquid, Honda. So these are the guys to watch.
Honda, shouldn't it?
I know I know that Honda wants to come out, right? Like on a regular basis. That should just be someone's name. Like a league player just ends up being like E Honda on Team
Honda.
Liquid. But yeah, so like I said this last week, right? Like the expected favorites are going to be like FlyQuest, 100 Thieves. They've been performing really well over the regular season split. Like Jensen's a phenomenal player. Like you're looking at him right now, right? So like Jensen's a phenomenal player. Whippo's amazing. Whippo's been like great. And then we have some like younger guys that are on the team. And like it's not a ton of like shine in this, but like they work really, really well together. And these are some like some standout players that will grow. Like they're gonna grow a lot more. Not sure how much like Jensen and Whippo have room to grow. I would say like they're like a year and a half, 2 years away from like coaching.
On the tail end of the esports career.
I mean, like that's just the way like esports ends up going, because like you need the coach in order to teach like the version of the game that they're playing right now. Because a lot of the younger guys have different styles of playing the game.
Gotcha.
Like some of them don't, some of them do, but like most of the time, like everybody changes, right?
Yeah,
like the younger guys usually bring it. And so like 100 Thieves was my org that I want to win, but they did not win. They ended up. What was the end up record? Like it was 3-0 for 100 Thieves. Like Cloud9, as I said last week, they were the guys that come in and really be like the dark horse. Because I like High's amazing. Like he's on the coaching side of things. Like he's literally in the back. But like their top players of Jojo Pune, Fudge, and Berserker are amazing. Vulcan's a great support. Blabber has been a performing jungler the whole entire time he's been around. With some like messes up and stuff.
Yeah, we're all human.
Just in general, right? We're all human, but like they have a really solid team of like good players just in general. Like their 3 carries of Fudge, Jojo, and Berserker are phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal player that you can like rely on them. And their team, like Cloud9's usually a team that's really cohesive in general. Like regardless of who they have on their team, they work on cohesion. Is what it seems like from an outside.
All right. Yeah, I was going to ask what makes the special sauce for this team for you, and it seems to be that they work together as a team a lot better than these other guys. The cohesion, like you just said, being able to take the star talents and carry literally, but like have everybody at an effort to carry that.
Yeah, and really the only player that like has, I don't want to say like it's a problem, right? But Jojo has the ego of a star player. Like Jojo, like he's a solid mid laner. He's a really good player. And it's one of those things that like you look for in like mid laners is you want them to think that they're the best in the world.
Yeah.
Jojo can definitely get there. Like he's solid. He can definitely end up being a Chovy or a Faker if he like plays hard enough at it,
Yeah, I was gonna say if you've watched Ted Lasso, it's the Jamie Tart situation. You gotta walk around with that BDE. You gotta make sure people know that like you're not to be messed with, because once they smell blood in the water, they're gonna come after you. So if you come at them first and have that energy, like they start questioning themselves before they question you.
Exactly. I mean, exactly. And like these players, they literally showed exactly how strong they are in the current meta and as a team overall, just 3-0ing 100 Thieves. And there was some like give and take on some, like it wasn't a complete like washout. But like as far as the record's concerned, it's 3-0. Like they got 3 clip. Like there was some stuff that needs to change. But as you can see, like we look at like 100 Thieves in they end up in the lower bracket over the weekend. Right.
Yeah.
They end up 3-2 against NRG Kia. Right. And like NRG, like over like the regular split, they weren't doing great. They're 6-9, like during the regular split.
Yeah.
So like they started to perform up as 100 Thieves started to perform down is really like what happened. I don't really know what happened with like the mental, but I'm really hoping 100 Thieves could like bring it back.
Well, yeah.
And actually like show up against Liquid.
If you're coming in at like number 2 with a 10-4, you've only lost 4 times in the regular season. Like you're coming in at this record and then you lose 3-0 to a team that you've beaten before. Like you're going to be a little mental boomed in this sort of high stress situation. So like them going 3-2, I don't want to put words into anybody's mouth here, but there definitely seems to be a bit of a mental issue here because they almost get 3-2'd by the seventh place team.
Yeah, I mean, like, and like just looking at it, right? Like, if I were to put my money on it, right, I want 100 Thieves to win, but it's more likely that Team Liquid's just going to win. They're just going to stay on the momentum that they're on. Like, sure, they lost to FlyQuest, but like, they literally were like, yeah, we don't deserve to be in the lower bracket, like against Team Dignitas, right? And 3 of them, and now they're going to face like 100 Thieves, and like 100 Thieves right now. They slipped a little bit. So now they might be questioning, like, yo, do we even belong here right now? Like the first thing that goes wrong in the game against Team Liquid, are they going to be like, oh my God, like we got to do something. That might snowball into just mistake over mistake. So
but they've had some time. It's been a week. They're going to have until this weekend to gather themselves, think about their strategies for that when they go up against Team Liquid E Honda. Who knows? Team Liquid E Honda is going to just go into that slap mode and just slap them back 3-0, which would make for a pretty interesting run. But it'd be really cool to see if 100 Thieves bounces back and we get that rematch against Cloud9 if Cloud9 takes out FlyQuest. That's a nice little grudge match for like a finals situation.
Yeah. No, it's like it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a real fun weekend for it. And so, like, the way that I'm thinking is like Team Liquid's going to come out with the victory over 100 Thieves, and I think it's going to be like there's really only 2 ways that it's going to go for FlyQuest and Cloud9. Like either it's going to be even, in my opinion, or Cloud9 is just going to come out and do the exact same thing all over again and just say like we don't even care like how you performed. Like we're just going to take it.
Yeah, we're not really watching at the upper bracket this weekend. We're going to be looking at that lower bracket because that seems to be more interesting storylines, interesting gameplays.
Definitely, like we'll see exactly how the storyline shakes out, but it's definitely going to be either a redemption or like falling off the cliff. Is really what it is for 100 Thieves, right? Like they're either going to redeem themselves or they're literally just gonna say sorry, guys. We'll try better next year. Like.
Well, they've got this is only major 1, so they've got the other half of the season, right? To go.
Yeah, they got the other half of the season, but this is I can't remember exactly because I haven't seen exactly who's going to be going to MSI right now. And so that's probably like the one thing that this is going to set up is who's really going to go to MSI, and MSI is the first international tournament.
Yeah. It's actually happening pretty soon. You just mentioned it, reminded me, and I pulled it up real quick. It does seem like we've got these matches not really changing anything yet, but this is going to decide who's going to go and do that, right? Like you only have LCS, but nothing really for MSI right now.
Yep.
So
it's going to be interesting. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, let's say you're rooting for. You got your 100 Thieves. I'll take Team Liquid E Honda. We do a little gentleman's bet here.
So like that's the thing. Like I'll take the gentleman's bet. We could do the gentleman dollars, right? The thing that like this is like the worst part for me, right? Is like I want 100 Thieves as an org to have just like more wins overall for the season and more prestige, so that they could that I think they can garner more fans, which is why I want them to win. Team Liquid, I've been like a Team Liquid fan since they've gotten consecutively been in 4th place for like 5,000 years. And Cloud9 is just like I tend to like the players, so I'm real split on this one. Like I got my team of Team Liquid, but I want the org of 100 Thieves to get a little bit more prestige for their organization to just show up.
Yeah, well, look at it this way: you win either way.
Yeah, that's true. Except if FlyQuest wins.
True.
Then I can just be like super upset with FlyQuest winning.
Death to FlyQuest, not really, but yeah.
FlyQuest.
All right, yeah, I'm excited for it. I don't really play a lot of League. I have a tough time following it, but it's been fun to watch this majors with you, and it's fun to see how it's going to keep going, especially with these storylines. So looking forward to our gentlemen's bet results, and hopefully my team comes out on top.
Yeah, if I win, you shave your head. That's the way it goes.
My wife might have some things to say about that. But anyway, on that note, let's get into something a bit more exciting. Not really, but our Rocket League Championship is definitely always more exciting, because what's more exciting than cars with rockets on them? We had an incredible tournament this past weekend, which led to an incredible play, which we want to share with you. We're going to do a little bit of react here, kind of walk through it. We're not super familiar with this, but I do know enough tech to kind of explain. So let's watch, let's listen, and let's just be in awe. Just I'm going to prep it, like, just let's be in awe here. So let's roll.
We're back with 6 seconds left.
2-1. We go to overtime. Ball hits the ground. They reset for the kickoff. We have an explosion. One of the team's players get knocked out. There's a good setup there.
Ooh, wait, what is Daniel doing?
So, Nick, do you know what you just saw there?
I see him driving, and then he knocks it into the air. It looks like he spins, does a backflip to basically juggle it like he's a seal. That's all I got. It honestly looks like he uses a fighting stick for this game. Is what it seems like. Like he uses a fighting stick for the game. Because I don't.
Yeah, well, that might be a good assessment, because the intricate combination of mechanical skill here is equivalent to those in the fighting game communities. Those playing those fighting games, it's not button mashing. It is very tactical, and we see this video courtesy of Tenacity Twitch TV. He's about to lose his mind, so I'm going to keep this going, and I'm going to have him explain very briefly, and then I'm going to run through it. But this is a wild, wild shot.
Are you kidding me, bro?
Losing his mind. Here's the replay.
In an overtime. I don't think anyone understands that.
And here's just a dude sitting in his room, and everybody in the lobby was shocked. Everybody was shook and like couldn't believe he just did that. All right.
He pre-flips into a catch, into a flip reset with 2 defenders in that. That was.
So yeah, I don't know if you caught that what he said, but the amount of tech he does with a lot of pressure there was insane.
I don't know the game. It looked like, this is why I said it looked like he had a fighting stick, bro. It looked like he did a ton of tech. Like, because it looked like he didn't do anything at all.
It was just so
like it's literally like, how fast is that car moving? Well, if it looks like it's moving fast, it's probably not moving that fast. If it looks like it's moving slow, it's moving super fast. Like,
right. So it's specifically what he does. We're in slow-mo here. I'm going to mute this. He gets the setup. They bounce it back. Here he is. He positions. So he hits it. He does a flip, changes direction. He air juggles doesn't touch the ground. So he has the ball in the air for a while, balances on the tip of the car. He flip resets. So like once you leave the ground, you're only allowed to flip your car once, like to kick it kind of thing. He's able to do a tech to get it back and like reset that flip at the end. So he gives it that little extra smack to kind of just hit the ball right past 2 defenders.
well,
So
he hits the ground,
replay.
right?
What's that?
Doesn't he hit the ground?
No.
Again? Really? At the end, I thought he literally hit the ground.
I don't believe so. So here we go. Here's the setup.
Let's see.
Here's the setup. The flip. He is in the air the whole time. Now he's juggling it on the nose of his car, just balancing it around. And then here comes the flip reset now.
Oh, he hit the other car. Yeah.
Yeah. And he does that with 2 defenders on him into the goal. Absolutely amazing tech. This is why Rocket League is super explosive, because when you do know what's going on, that becomes the most insane ever to do. Like you said, some fighting game situation level tech, but doing it in a 3v3 moment, basically. Major props.
How many
to
people
Daniel.
on a team? How many
There's
people on a team?
There's 3 people per team.
3 people per team. This is my calling card right now for everybody who's thinking about what esport to get into. This is a tier S, okay? And the reason why it's a tier S is because first place in this was $6 million.
Really? Holy
Yeah,
moly.
it was $6 million for this game, right? And like you can tell because look at the money they took. They already got Saudi money, bro. They got some Exxon Mobil over here, right? They got Exxon Mobil money. They got Ally Bank money. Who else they got like advertising to me in this game?
They've got
and
the sponsors.
The game released at like $20. Okay, they didn't make this money from $20 sales. Okay, and I'm sure there's skins and all sorts of stuff, right? The microtransactions that can exist.
Yeah,
but we're looking at 2 huge sponsors right here with Ally Bank and Mobile One, right? And it was $6 million for this, and it takes a lot of skill to even do this. Like this is literally like these people could they basically play musical instruments compared to me. Like is what it looks like. Like it's like these guys can play Chopin, and I'm sitting here like a jackass twiddling my thumbs. Like,
no, you're right, dude. 6 million price tag is a lot. I didn't even realize that was the prize pool here for this. That makes this moment even more crazy because remember, this is overtime in the North American Open Qualifiers Grand Final. So this is the match where you're gonna like win. Basically, they go to overtime, and then they have this moment of play where he just knocks it in. He just like boops it and like pulls out this crazy tech, and it's insane. It's absolutely insane that he had that much on the line with that much defender pressure and just does this.
Yeah, man, it looks like we all play competitive games. It literally looks like he smurfed out here. It looks like he smurfed. That's why the guy's losing his mind. It's because he smurfed on all these other professionals. Like he might not be like an MJ, but at this current moment in his life, he should just retire. It's done for him. He should retire on the highest note ever and go play something else. He should literally go play NBA 2K because it wouldn't even matter. Like it's a completely different game. He won't be judged on his past accolades whatsoever. He could just be the MJ of it. Like it looks like he smurfed, and it just looks crazy.
I mean, this is him in his room after he does it. He's just like chill, like, yeah, I know what I did. And then this is the reaction, like, what was that? I felt like we needed to share this moment because even though neither of us are any good at Rocket League, and it's hard to be, it looks so easy, but it's absolutely not. And to do this in this kind of pressure, peak esports, peak chef's kiss.
Yeah. Like Rocket League, like this moment, even the guys that it had happened to them, right? Like the first people to experience a solar eclipse. Like that's what happened. They were like, whoa, this is insane. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Like they'll never forget it. They're not mad about it. Like literally they went back into the back room and every single person looked at each other and just said at the same time, you can't beat yourself up over this one. Like it's just like it's not their fault they lost. Like at all.
That's fair. And it's such a moment to like the internet's favorite Street Fighter moment. What is it? Moment number 34?
Yeah, Evo. Chun-Li versus Ken. It's phenomenal.
It's another moment, right?
I was actually going to ask you, like, where do you think that what are the ones that are like the top 10 esports plays of like all time? Do you think that this cracks into it, right? Because it's like that one, it's like Daigo, right? And then we have this one.
Right. I think this is a lot more subtle, whereas that one was more obvious. But either way, that's a debate for another time. Let's move on to some more news in the esports world. We're going to actually jump back into the MDI, the Mythic Dungeon Invitational from World of Warcraft about 2 weeks ago. We're going to spotlight a bit of a play, a situation that happened in the finals to secure the win as well. So another high pressure, high octane situation, but a much different octane. This is like the low premium versus the high jet fuel of Rocket League. So I'm gonna play the video quickly, and we'll take a look at the strategy. So to set the scene,
for the first time in almost 5 years, Echo has finally been beaten. Mandatory.
Pretty impressive.
Historic. Best of
Mandatory winning, as we discussed, 3-2 in the finals.
Here to break down the black or cold strategy that led to Mandatory's moment of triumph. Throughout the history of the NDI, there's been a noted upgrade in routing and difficulty from the group stage to the global finals. New strategies are found to make quicker runs possible in one dungeon. Teams will quickly try to find ways to apply them in other dungeons. After Echo's Rift Mage tech was revealed in Mars' Rise during Bay,
this was the tech that we talked about.
To make it work. That leads us to Black Rook Hold, Game 5, final series of the day. Winner takes home everything. Mandatory making quick work of the first boss using the same customary strat we've seen in the group stages. While used to pulling every trash mob here, the pull is still quite difficult to manage properly.
This was one of the hardest pulls that happened in the entire tournament. Just in general, there's so many people that wiped to it.
Heading up towards Osana Ravencrest, we see the first real change in strategies from group play. Instead of stopping at the top of the stairs, Swishy down Shielders in the group instead. Hide in line of sight. Skylark gathers up every single targetable enemy in the area. After setting up, the players come out from hiding and pump as much AoE as possible.
This is just a huge pull.
The trash
So just hit a pause right quick, right?
Yeah.
Like they're literally saying this, right? And like we all can see that it's a huge pull, right? They don't like it's 4 DPS, bro. It's 4 DPS in these dungeons.
That's the crazy part. It's literally
like
Demon Hunter tank, mage, warlock, paladin, priest, no healers, all DPS. So you have off heals from paladin, priest. But
this is why healers in World of Warcraft hate their lives on a regular basis. Because like when they go into regular dungeons, right? They're not even requested for like late game mythics. They're like, sorry, we need another DPS, not a healer in the healer role. Okay. And then at lower levels, they're like, you need to do DPS as a healer anyway, bro. Like it's like we'll take you, but you got to do DPS. So like what's the healer role now as far as these things are concerned? It's insane to do these huge pulls with 4 DPS and come out unscathed.
Maybe it should be called support class rather than healer, right?
Then we're just playing a different game, right?
All right, moving on.
Yeah, go.
Before they run out of AoE stops, such as Infernal Stuns, Blasphemy Stuns.
So yeah, here they're talking about how they're CCing, crowd controlling them, and they're using these different cooldowns to keep all the mobs unruly. There is one that gets off that kills the mage, it looks like, but they still...
Yeah, they just battle res them maybe?
Yeah,
they can't really battle res, right?
They res. They with Soulstone, it's battle res.
Yeah.
Hide strategies to try and keep a secret.
This is the moment.
Stages of the tournament. Echo's been notorious for doing this, leading to an aura of mystique around how good some of their runs have been or could be. With the level of the competition in the global finals, Echo felt compelled to reveal a variation of the Rift Mage tech in Black Cold in the first round, winning them the map, but showing off the strategy to the rest of the teams. This left them vulnerable. The team makes their way up towards the Trash Gauntlet, separating them from Smashbite, third boss of the dungeon. Instead of bolting down the hallway, Skylark instead pulls the patrolling Blade Lord off to the side and uses a Sigil of Misery to lock them in place.
So this is where it gets awesome. Remember, no healers. The tank goes, pulls this group to the side, and fears them so that everybody else can walk by, not in combat, which is essential for what they're about to do.
This allows the Warlock, Paladin, and Priest to take a gateway to the spiral staircase up towards Smashbite without getting in combat.
They use the gateway to make a skip above, past all those mobs over here. They don't have to fight them. They just go to the top, and then they're going to summon people up. But they left the mage and the demon hunter down there.
And he's a night elf too, so he's going to be able to
invisibility potions to get to the last boss, second to last boss. He pulls every mob, stays alive.
into yet another sigil of misery.
Grips them to one position. All the mobs are in one spot. Fears them. The mage comes around, and he's gonna Frost Nova them, so they stay in spot.
Especially when you consider they're doing this entire dungeon without a healer. Waiting for the sigil of misery to run out.
How does he talk about it now?
Have to put himself in combat.
What's that?
How did he bring it up so late in the sauce, man? Like so late in dinner. Like yeah, like this is people like
It's drama, man.
It's like you need to start like it's intense that it's for DPS, man. Like I've done keystones up to like 15, right? Like with the people I found for my keystones, like hell no am I doing this. Like no shot.
No shot, bro.
No shot. I don't even care if a person from like a really good guild comes down and tells me like, hey guys, we're gonna do it my way. I guarantee we're gonna get this. I'd be like, I'm out, dude. I'm not doing this.
Sorry, don't trust you.
No thanks. Go ahead. This is crazy.
Instantly line of sights around the corner, making sure he doesn't get hit by a single throw on.
So he Frost Novas, and then he's gonna pop invisibility, so he breaks combat, and then he's gonna get summoned.
With the mage now in combat, Skylark can shadow.
The tank Shadow Melds takes the summon first. So now
And set up the skip that we saw Echo pull
now
off.
basically they're all gonna snap to up here and boom.
Cast Sigil of Flame on the trash pack. Takes the summon before the animation finishes.
They aggro to him.
He's at Smash Fight with aggro on.
They have the boss. They've got about 40%
All that's left
of
to do
ads.
Comes to Invis, dropping his own combat, taking the summon. And now we have all
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players are back at the top with the boss, and we're about to see the rest of the mobs show up.
with almost an entire dungeon.
There they go.
Snapping up towards them. After pulling this off, all that's left for Mandatory to do is the same pull we've seen from group stages. The remaining Lantern Swordsman into the final boss.
So like that's the tech, that's the situation. Everything else is just a race to the finish where they win. Spoilers 3-2. They beat Echo. They dethrone them after 5 years of dominance, and they do it basically with throwing the tech that Echo revealed earlier in the tournament back in their face with this snapping and this teleporting. So super awesome to see, super cool to see how this changes the meta almost instantaneously even.
Do you think that they had it? It seems to me like because of how successful they just did it, like when they brought it up on stage, that they both teams probably had the exact same strat worked out, but just for two different maps.
I don't honestly. I think Echo had it in their pocket because the weekend that Echo did that tech, nobody else replicated it. But a week later, you saw everybody was doing it, and then you see this team Mandatory then do this in a different dungeon. So they probably thought about it, realized, and then hey, we can maybe apply it elsewhere. Basically, wild.
It's super wild, and it's
it won them a ton of money, man.
Yeah, and I know, right? But at the same time, like all those mythic mythic guilds are disbanding at the same time in the game because they're not getting rewarded. And like, who else is gonna do these dungeons? This stuff is cool. Like I thoroughly enjoy watching these things. Like, who's gonna do this if nobody's actually doing it?
All right, and that comes into where we talk about the sustainability of esports, and really there's a lot of different avenues that build it: closed circuit tournaments and leagues, better revenue share for teams, and so that they can maintain consistency of competition and player strength. But then more specifically, to get in new talent through prize pools, make it a sustainable living. Not everybody's going to be able to do it. Not everybody should be able to do it. But if you hit a certain skill level, you should be able to pay your rent with it.
Dude, it's super weird to me that these, like, just a little off topic on this one, but on the similar topic of like you can't pay for your esport thing, right? So like Dota can, okay? And Dota does
That's really
live off the back of its players. I was just going to talk about that, right?
Okay.
But in the defense of that's crowdfunded, right? What piece of shit company that literally sells microtransaction things right now isn't just crowdfunded, right? So what I would
Sure.
say is you have a tournament coming up, do a small event in game, make it purchasable, right? $5 for all your players.
Right.
Make it so that like your lowest skill level player can get something awesome. Make it so like your high skill level players might also want that same cosmetic or look or whatever the hell it is, right? So now we have all these, you know, WoW had what, 12 million players at one point, right? And like they don't have 12 million players anymore. We'll say like 2 million people, right? Times
Okay.
5, $10 million. Like it's like $10 million.
I
Like
know.
you're selling stuff on the store, like they like to let their own games die for their own pockets, which like makes sense. But like you could also make more money.
They're
Like,
just going to
look at
come out
Rocket
with a
League.
new game, right? They're going to just have Call of Duty 7 or, you know, Overwatch 2.
Activision will buy back their company if Blizzard doesn't get their shit together. Like it's like they would just say, you know what, here's money, or like buy yourself out of this. We just don't want to be associated with Blizzard anymore if they
Yeah.
like let their stuff die. But
That's fair. That's
just,
fair.
just put out a skin. Like,
It's
let
true.
them-
It's true. It's going to be so hard. It's so hard for the model to exist when there's these companies that own it, and it's a kid with their candy bag. You know, he's just going to keep dipping his hand in and taking more out what he can. Why only have 10% when I can have 20% or when I can have 30%? But you know, that's something we've seen time and time again. And like, you know, hopefully there's some shift with that long term, because it really helps sustain esports long term. And speaking of sustaining esports long term, we're going to switch into our next topic, if that's okay, Nick. We're going to start talking about Riot's new strategy for League of Legends esports in general. They just announced recently in a bit of a news brief that they wanted to restructure their expectations and the way they proceed with League esports in general. They honestly want to seem to make it more like Valorant. And of course, this makes sense. League's been around for a while and it's had a bunch of different iterations over the years. But esports wise, you know, it's got to stay with the times. Otherwise, you're bound to die. You're not going to be sustainable. Companies won't want to invest in you. Sponsors won't want to invest. Players won't want to play so that you don't have a game anymore. So this longer term thinking is definitely a good thing. But I'm going to read a little bit about it and how they want to switch into looking more like the VCT, the Valorant Championship tournaments. In the current LOL esports partnership models, team commit $10 million to participate, a $10 million buy-in to the league, and receive 50% of revenues of the league. So a 50% revenue split, which is pretty decent. I think the NFL has a 60% on everything, though. But I digress. Most of the revenue comes from sponsorship and media rights, very similar to the NFL. So they're making some situations changes there. The intent of the original partnership model was to give teams long-term slots so that they could, which we've discussed, Nick. Longer-term slots make it a more competitive. They're not worried about being bumped out and losing that money. And like the Premier League in Europe, a lot of teams are spending money like it's on fire, because if they lose, they're out. They lose a lot of money for losing a lot of money. So they want to spend the money now to stay in and hopefully keep burning the midnight oil there. And that's generally what this clause is saying. Hey, yeah, we don't want that to happen. To the alignment of incentives in team and league, yeah, they both want teams and league to be, you know, on the same page and to win, to have a competitive league, and then give teams a way to share in financial success. And this one, it feels a little bit fluffy, but right. So, Nick, with those 3 points, do you have any initial thoughts, reactions of this goal, objective that the Riot might have for league here?
So like league's harder in like certain areas, right? Because like only dedicated fans are gonna buy in-game customizables for their team. I won't be buying, like, I like Team Liquid, it's my team. I'm not buying a Team Liquid anything. And maybe if it supported them, but I'm not gonna, like, no flare is gonna hit my account like, oh my god, right? But if you came out with like a new Gragas skin, because I have every Gragas skin, I would probably get the new Gragas skin as a person who loves Gragas and plays Gragas too much, and I would want to get like the new skin, right? There's not many ways to increase like the overall revenue, but to get new players, there has to be new slots.
Yeah.
You can't say, all right, guys, we got 50 to 80 players that play as professional League of Legends players, and our game has been around for, let's look at the clock. Yeah, it's been around for over 10 seasons now. This is great. Like, there's 50 players. Like, it's kind of like, that's like the worst part for me is whenever you see like, so you never want, like, again, like in video games, we never really want to take things away from the player, right? And time and time again, when it comes to like these esports, right? Faker is old. Like, not really, but like Faker's old
for video game years,
right? Like, I don't know how old he is. 27? Like, what's Faker's age?
Yeah.
Right? He's 27 years old. That was correct. Okay, so Faker's 27, right? He's still playing. He's been playing for a really long time. In North America, you literally lose a solid player from a new player getting picked onto the team. Oh, we're going to try out this rookie. And then it's like a decent or solid veteran just gets booted out of the league and is no longer a pro player. Now his path is coaching, which really wasn't set up for him in the first place unless he was already neglecting his play to set up his career as a coach. So what you need in order to get new players in and have players want to play in your league is to have more spots open for it for their players, and players can stay in longer.
I don't know if that's necessarily solved, because then you might just make it more volatile. Like, okay, one in, one out. And like, we could talk about numbers with like the NFL too. I think we started crunching some numbers for a segment where like, I think there's like 1,600 NFL players in the league at any given year. And then there's like 40 something thousand college players playing football. So like that percentage who makes it to that next point is super small, because not all the players in the season this year are going to turn out. So like, you need that switch over, that new blood and whatnot, but at the same time, like, you need stability for these brands and the stuff, because like you said, your allegiance is more to the character in the game than it is to a player or a team. And that only comes from emotional attachment, engagement over time. And that doesn't happen if I'm a 1-year player and then I'm out because I couldn't quite cut it. You need a good balance between the two, it seems. And that's the only thing I want to rebuttal on that, because that feels like a very volatile or interesting point for volatility.
So, I mean, yeah, like we did go over that, right? And like, it's not just about like the odds of you becoming that, right? But it's allowing your career to be longer because there's more spots. So you can still be better than some of these guys coming up. They get put onto an academy team and you're still on the main roster. You could be, you could be the worst NBA player, but you're still leagues above a college player who's talking trash. Like, that's the difference, right? Like, you can go to a high school right now and challenge everybody and you'll do 21-0. That's how crazy the game will be. And so what I really mean by that is like having, I don't want to say like having loser teams, right? But having teams that are just like are brand new in the league that don't have as much money as all these other guys in there. And maybe they take a player who's exiting off of this one team because they got a new player. They're still good, right? And to say to the point, like, my allegiance is more to a character in the game. Like, I like Gragas, like, so, but I got to tell you right now, if you play Gragas, I know who you are. And if I watch you and I see you play Gragas, like, you're my man, right? And so this is the problem in League, is that people will get attached to like players, and then eventually, like, and not even eventually, pretty quickly, that player will no longer be in the league. And so that name is gone within a year and a half. That usually doesn't happen in football, besides football or basketball, without like a serious injury. Right? I
mean, it does. I mean, the average career span for the NFL, I think, is 3 years. So, like, a year and a half is
but eternity for league players to get like 2 extra years.
But in that way, too, it's usually like linemen. It's usually defensive. It's usually people who don't have the brand recognition. It's not a first-round draft pick quarterback, wide receiver, running back that's scoring touchdowns, because those people are going to be volatile too. But I want to switch into this too, like just kind of speak about Riot, what they're actually going to be doing quick. We want team partners to participate in the upside of esports. Seems like a general nice saying, but whatever. We want to align financial incentives between teams and leagues. Okay, sure. Make sure that they're both want to make the money the same way. And this might be actually a big one if they align it more like how the NFL does it. We want to give teams some predictability on revenue share so they can manage their businesses sustainably. And I think this is probably the thing that teams are looking for the best: sustainability, stability, and sustainability. So under this new model, teams are going to be paid a fixed stipend and share in revenue from league digital content sales. I wonder how much this means, but this seems to be the big thing of how it's shifting. So like, are they going to be getting money from any sort of new, like you're saying, like we run an event, we're giving away new mounts or cosmetic stuff for $20 and players buy it, and then these teams are going to get a percentage of that. Might be interesting if they do it that way.
So they do that with the world skins. So like after you win worlds, you get your champion pick for whatever player you pick a champion and you get a skin for your team, right? And it's a themed thing. It's themed skins. Sometimes there's been one exception where one player who was like a substitute for Faker came in and performed really, really well, and he got an extra skin. So like one year there was like an extra skin for Easy Hoon. But like, so if you buy those skins, revenue does go back to T1, I believe. I believe that was already like set up for like the world skins.
Gotcha.
And it's not to say like I'm going to buy like a league, like a Team Liquid like skin for one of my champions or anything like that, right? But like I'm not attached. Like I'm attached to Team Liquid because I've been like doing that with Team Liquid. I like the team, but I'm definitely more like a lot of players are more associated with like pro players, like people who streamed and then went on to like pro play and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of people like that, right?
It's all the personalities connection and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. You have to keep the personalities for new viewers. Like no one's coming in to watch Team Liquid. I play League of Legends. I'm gonna go watch Team Liquid play a game today. Like who's playing on Team Liquid? I have no idea, but I'm still gonna go watch it. Like no, that's not happening. Like you need people to recognize players, and players need to have longer careers, and there probably needs to be just more players overall, so that there's more.
In that in that same realm, though, the teams need to develop the players and the personalities. The league needs to let them show those personalities, so that they can stream, they can co-stream, they can do all these things that are unique to esports, and then. Yeah, but
I'm not going to say like the worst players have like some of the best personalities, but like Tyler One has hit Challenger in every single role. He's a huge personality for League, right? People know who Tyler One is, even if you don't play League of Legends. You probably already heard of Tyler One at some game that you play, right? He's turned into a variety streamer, League of Legends streamer, right? Where is that person in League of Legends in the championship? Like there isn't.
It's more lucrative to stream, and I know players like XQC in the Overwatch scene. He was a big competitive Overwatch guy. The dude sits on his chair, reacts to content, and has like the worst cameras ever. But he's making the bag because he's a big personality, and he's connecting with people who like to watch him with it. So it's the same sort of stuff, man.
My only thing that pops in my head for XQC is I'm gonna have my mom buy me ice pops. Like it's like the only thing I know about XQC.
I do know they put a voice line about toenails in Overwatch, and that was from him, like chewing his tone. Anyway.
Disgusting.
The last part, there are some specifics here in what Riot is going to do, and I want to go over them before we're out of time here. And if you want to continue this conversation, check us out on our socials. You know where to find us. Wherever you have your social media, social presence, check out the Esports Meta. We'll be there. We'll be talking about this stuff. But specifically, how they're going to align to those goals in the tier 1 ecosystem, they're going to have a GRP, that global revenue pool, which is going to share everything, which is, I think, a big difference from, like you're saying, that like holiday sale or the grand final skin. So general shares, 50% of the global revenue pool goes into general shares, and that's going to be allocated to all the tier 1 teams. Pretty cool. 50% of the pool goes to all 10 teams, if not more later on. Competitive shares is going to incentivize performance. So 35% of that pool is going to go into the people who win based on region, based on placements and events as well.
So there's only 10 teams right now, but it says it means that only about 20 to 30 teams can participate in the digital revenue in a season, right? So that means that certain teams, depending on their record maybe, or how much viewers they have for their games, will become tier 1 tier 1 teams.
Well, in that way, like just kind of specifically, the general shares are specific to tier 1 teams. So that means the other 50% is going to be open to anybody who places in it. So that could be tier 1 teams. It could be tier 2, tier 3. So you're kind of talking about your like up and coming, having new blood, having new excitement, new teams and players come in and make a name for themselves, have exciting storylines. This 35% is going to be a big part of teams who come into a tournament and just blow the hats off of everybody in that tournament, basically in an international or regional placement. And then this last one, fandom shares. This is an interesting one. It's going to definitely impact like the people like Nade Shot with 100 Thieves who can build that fan base pretty quickly. The Team Liquid E-Hondas. The remaining 15% of GRP goes into the fandom shares. This bucket rewards teams for developing strong fandom from the players. I'm not sure how this is going to be measured as far as what is considered strong fandom. Maybe that's something that gets defined a little bit later, but it's pretty interesting. Tier 1, 50% automatically split between 10 teams. So every team gets 5% of the pool. And then the other 50% is based on their work, how they win, and then how they can engage with fans. Nick, do you think this is goes into the points you were making, how you want longevity with players, lifeline and whatnot?
I mean, like it speaks on some of that, but I'm still confused at like what, like I really want to see like complete rundown of what they consider tier 1 teams and everything like that.
I believe tier 1 teams would probably be everything in LCS, right?
Honestly, probably Korea. Like Korea wins worlds. Korea, like they got the most worlds wins, stuff like that. Like Taiwan's got a worlds win. What?
And like I wonder if, well, I guess because it is global, if they're gonna lump all those leagues together. Actually, they do speak about it up top here. I believe they mention which leagues they're gonna adjust. LCK, LCS, LEC. And if I'm honest here, just a little, League of Legends has the worst naming patterns, in my opinion. Hot take, spicy take, but it just feels
it doesn't
like
involve China.
It
doesn't involve China.
That's true. It doesn't involve China.
China's not part of the like, and the game is done by a completely different company over there. Like Arena is one of the is like the person who like this distributes like League out there. I'm pretty sure still.
Yeah.
China, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, so back on topic, it seems that global shares are going to be split between all the teams in those 3 leagues.
Which, you know, and at that, like, so 20 to 30 teams can be considered tier 1 teams. There's only 3 leagues there. That's 30 teams already. So, like, it's just more it's not, it's like number soup, right? It's just like they just need to like define exactly what a tier 1 team is. How many like is it going to be? What's it going to be based on? Is, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
I get what you're saying. I do feel like the tier 1 is already defined, but yeah.
Fandom shares honestly seem stupid in my personal, because it seems like it's just going to be another way that they're going to try to force people to interact with it, like the fans to interact with the streams themselves, like do a poll, get on Twitter. Like, no, shut up. I'm already watching it.
As a social media manager in the past and community manager, I read this as it's not to make the fans be more engaged, it's to make the teams be more engaged, because we can,
No, I know, but it
gotta be
usually
more
ends up
competitive
with
in
the
that eyeball
players.
economy. You got to be. I'm not saying everybody needs to be Nade Shot 100 Thieves and whatnot, but you do need to engage, and that's where the community is going to be driven and built, because people are going to attach to the streamers. The streamers are going to be attached to the organizations. The organizations are going to be attached to the tournaments and the teams, etc.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
more cohesion with their streamers and their pro players would probably be a good thing. Most teams like Gen G just literally pick up flavor of the week streamers on Twitch or something,
Yeah,
and then they give
that's
them a
true.
deal. So, that's
And
it, Gen
maybe
G.
this is-
We're coming for you.
Hot take. Maybe this is something to combat that, so it's not so flavor of the week, that it's going to be more long term, to build a long term lasting community rather than a fleeting here today, gone tomorrow. Yeah. All right. Well, there seems to be a lot more happening with this, and we'll keep digesting it and break it down and then analyze it, discuss it, and bring it back to you guys. This way you have all the best information of what's going on. We're out of time for now, but if you're enjoying what we're doing here, of course, hit like, subscribe. It really helps us out. Check us out on our social medias, wherever you like to be. Twitter, Facebook. If you want, be a MySpace, be a boomer, but be on MySpace, that's okay. We're also there. Having a lot of fun talking to you about this stuff, Nick. Let's continue this on stream, maybe. So if you want to check that out, take a look at us on twitch.tv/the esports meta or youtube.com/the esports meta. Any final words for us on this outro that's going a bit long, Nick?
Not too long. We got to just dip.
Too long. Let's get out of here. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next week at 7 p.m.
See
Bye.
you next week.